Ciao, sono Sara Z dalla La Land. Incontrerò grandi ospiti provenienti da ogni parte del mondo. Vi sorprenderanno condividendo la loro storia, ma tratteremo anche svariati argomenti. Le storie raccontate spezzano le barriere. Enjoy! Ciao Emily, welcome to Hollywood. We switched places because you and your family just moved to Italy.
Yes.
How's treating you, Italy?
Oh my goodness. Italy, there's no words. It's just magical. You're constantly exploring and discovering and learning, and everybody is so warm and welcoming. And the history, everything that we have is built from here, from so many years ago.
And you're in Florence.
Yes, Firenze.
Yes, a Firenze. E parli italiano?
No, io sono Emilie.
Scusa, non ho capito.
Io sono Emily.
Oh, sono Emily, sì.
Io sono Emily.
Emilia, in Italian is Emilia, è vero. But Emily, thank you so much for being here with me. You had what a prolific career. A dancer, aerialist, contortionist, 3-time national champion for Canada in rhythmic gymnastic, and now you're the founder of Maison Goldblum.
Yes.
You're teaching intuitive stretch, not just for dancers, but for everyone who wants to stretch their bodies, breathe through it, maybe just a good yawn in the morning. Like, have you ever thought to call it, Casa Goldblum, now that you are in Italy, instead of Maison?
I feel like that would be too much because Maison Goldblum is close to my French heritage, and I'm, learning, and I have an appreciation for Italy, but Casa Goldblum, I feel like that would be taking from something that isn't appropriately mine. But I love it here, and we love it, the boys and my husband, and yeah, for me.
So you're from Canada. You talked about French, so you speak French. Is French your first language?
So my mother is from France. She's from the west coast of France. So I grew up in the English-speaking part of Canada, Toronto, and I spoke French at home with my mother, and I spent summers in France with my grandparents because she wanted me to have French, culture and roots and speak the language. So that's how I have my French culture.
When you were 11 years old, you decided to go to Russia, to Moscow, because you wanted to pursue your a career in the rhythmic gymnastic, and you thought that in Canada probably wouldn't have the nice and the right opportunities. Mm-hmm. But you just went alone. You didn't have any family around. How was that experience and reaching that dream?
Yeah, it was. So I feel so appreciative to have had that experience. It was a huge opportunity and this huge learning curve. I started the sport that I fell in love with kind of late. I started at 11 years old. And so when I went to Russia, I immediately evolved and became so much better than what I was doing in Canada. And I was lucky because my coach, my personal coach, Ludmila Dimitrova, who is Bulgarian, was asked and brought over by the Russian national team. And she wanted to keep her ties with Canada, so she needed to bring me, and she asked the Russians for permission, which was sort of, back then, not a lot of outsiders, because when I started going was in 1995, 96, 97, 98, 99, and then I went to the Olympics in 2000, so I was there that whole time, off and on, so it was mind-blowing. It was everything I wanted. It was hard. It was not hard, isn't even a good enough word. It was excruciating at times, but it's what I wanted. It's what I loved. And I knew that it was taking me somewhere. It was taking me to a different point than from where I had started. So I was willing and eager to pour in the blood, sweat, and tears.
Why was it hard? I mean, I'm sure like hard for the fact you weren't cuddled by your beloved ones, your family. But what was the hardest part being there and training? Because I worked with some
You did Cirque du Soleil, right?
yeah, but I'm not as flexible like you, Emily. You're flexible like a pretzel, let me tell you.
Well, and there's people more flexible than me, so you know, can you imagine?
Well, I'm generally saying that I saw lots of your videos on Instagram, and I was blown away, like my mind, because you have two boys. Emilie Goldblum is a mom, and you have such a great body still. Like,
Thank
so
you.
when I saw you doing all of those exercises, of course, I think about myself as a performer, as a dancer.
Yes.
But I was saying I worked with some colleagues, they were former gymnasts, and they explained to me how the warm-up, the training is, like two legs on the chairs, the teacher pushing you down in order to really open up your hips.
Yes.
Like very, how was for you, like the training and the experience of being by yourself, you're going back home.
Yeah. I mean, a part of me, I think I've always had this, and I maybe didn't have the language to explain to myself even what it was, but I suppose now as an adult, I can look at it as like, I'm proud, and I'm proud to have survived and been able to do all that training. Because so for one reason why it was very difficult was it was a shock to my physical system, because we were training 8 hours a day. My coach would train the Russian girls and choreograph all their routines all day long, while I trained on the side and was doing ballet with the Russians, warming up. So I did everything. I trained all day long. And then not until the end of the day, when the Russians were resting and finished their program, was when she had time to choreograph my program. So then I would have to work once everybody else was sleeping, you know, and because that was when there was, you know, because they were paying her probably, I don't know exactly, but a large sum, and she needed to really focus on them. But I had to have the responsibility as a young 11-year-old to just work and work and work on the side and just do my elements that she would give me, and she would come and back and help me here and there. But when she really started creating and choreographing my new routines for the season, that was done at night after 9 o'clock when everybody was sleeping. So there was that. It was the shock to my system of like working all day long. And that wasn't always like that, because I would be there for like 2-3 months. That would be like in the beginning once I had the routines, and then she would slip me in the rotation of when you would get time for the music. And then there's the other aspect that you were just explaining about your friends, was, you know, just the tears rolling down from the pain, because you're doing splits so they're like on double chairs, or doing ballet, and all like, it's just, it's
and
like.
did you start ballet first, or was incorporated into your gymnastics training?
So I did ballet in Canada when I was very little, and I did dance, and I did that other gymnastics. It's called artistic gymnastics, you know. So I did dance and artistic gymnastics, and then I switched into rhythmic gymnastics, and I just followed the rhythmic gymnastics program. I was very, how do you say, I guess, obsessed with my coach. I believed everything she said. She was like gold, like a queen. Like, I just did everything she said. I knew for some reason she believed in me, and I believed in her, and I knew she could take me to the next level. And that was all that mattered to me in my life.
Of course, I feel she was your guardian angel. Like, you were the guardian angel of yourself, because I'm sure like you had time being by yourself and not feeling the support. But being with her and believing in you, she was kind of protecting you somehow. Like, probably you still had someone to talk to, like.
She was a very strong personality. Like, nobody she didn't let anybody walk all over her. She was so strong. And I think I I felt protected by her. I felt like she had my best interest and it, you know, at times she was, at times I hated her, you know, like she was the meanest person, but I knew that those were like momentary. I knew that her greater purpose was my best interest. So I don't know. It's something in life that I feel like sometimes you have to put in some of these like gritty hours and work that you don't necessarily find fun, and it doesn't feel great. But once you pass a certain point, you know, you excel and you evolve and you fly, you know.
Especially at your level, in order to win 3 medals, that was quite an accomplishment. And when did you realize that, and I'm going to use this term, when did you realize that you couldn't carry your on stage life anymore? Like, you're still on stage, but in a different way. When did you realize, because your body's still functioning like perfectly? That's what I see in your videos. But maybe there was a moment when you said, you know, I think now to, you know, step back professionally. When did you realize that, especially emotionally, not just physically, emotionally? How was it?
Well, I feel like I've never put it away, but I do, obviously. Like, it was when I decided to become a mother. Basically, that's what it comes down to. I'm somewhat, I think, of a laid back perfectionist, that for me, my job now, like, they are what's the most important thing, and I have to, I don't know, for me, it's like that one thing that I have to honor. It was like with me for rhythmic gymnastics, like I had to honor the journey and the work and do whatever it took. And that's sort of how it happens with them. Like, I can be working and training and creating, and then the second, if the school calls me and they're sick, I have to throw everything down and I go, you know. And that's just who I am. I really want, this is like such a small portion of their life. And even though sometimes I kind of, you know, there's 2 parts of me that's like, oh, I could just have somebody else do all that. But it's, I don't know. I can't do that.
Would you still able, like, they call you back, like maybe for a film, would you still be, would you still be able to do it?
Well, there was a project that I worked on last summer. It's a film, and it's going to be coming out, I think, maybe at Christmas time. It was a big group of dancers. It was with this choreographer I've worked with before, and this director I've worked with before. But I'm not actually sure if I'm allowed to, I don't know if I'm allowed to like talk about it, because I haven't seen. I haven't given anything away.
Surprise! So yes, we are more prompted to see you.
Yes. Well, it was a big group of us dancers. It was a crazy scene. I mean, I'm almost like, oh my God, I had a wig on. I don't know if people are going to recognize me. And if they do, I'm kind of like worried. I'm like, oh my God, what are people
Wait, can you tell us what kind of wig? How were you dressed?
It's like a blonde wig, and it's kind of like I said 20s, like a 1920s vibe. Old Hollywood.
But you'll post something, right, when the time will come, like, so we'll find out. Because a curiosity that not everyone knows, but Emilie was the body double for Rihanna in the film, and I don't want to mess the words up, so I'm going to read it. The Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Yes.
You were body double of Rihanna, and also you were Emma Stone's aerial work in La La Land.
Yes.
How was working?
I mean, those,
for that, like, experience.
Yes, those are sort of like my highlight. Like there's one other job which when I performed at the Oscars for the weekend. So those 3 are kind of like my career highlights, where I'm just like, and maybe the Cher tour as well was, you know, right there. But yes, choreographing the scene with the director Luc Besson for Valerian for Rihanna was unreal because I got to do both. I got to choreograph it and work with the director very closely where we could create the scene, and I would listen to what he needed and what he wanted, and then come and show him and make my presentation. And then her team, you know, they had their notes and they had their favorite characters, because the reason why I was able to, you know, people would ask him like, how could you be Rihanna's body double? It was because she was this alien sort of shape-shifting kind of high class female like dancer, and so she would shift into like sort of like male fantasies. So it was like the sexy schoolgirl, and then there was like this Catwoman, and then, you know, so it was all these different characters that I played, and that's kind of why he chose me to do all of the hard stuff. And then we, you know, had moments where she could do the close-ups with like the rope.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
But the hard work was behind the scenes by Emilie.
Yeah, but she's amazing. She's such a hard worker. You know, I was really just honored to be like, I love her. I've always really loved her work, and so I was like, you know, a little nervous, but it was amazing.
And how about the other film, La La Land? Were you doing the area when she was flying in the sky with the yellow dress? I saw.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Rihanna's film. I will.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah. No.
I know you were there. But
Yeah.
I watched La La Land, and which part did you?
Yes. So for that part, they were, I was just me and the other stunt double for Ryan Gosling, and we were in the, you know, the planetarium where they come in and they sit down and then they go off and fly. So it was just that part.
See.
We're shadows, basically. You know, you see us, but and it's a black shadow kind of dancing and flipping, and that was what I did.
Yeah. That's good. Did you have a chance to talk to her as well? In the
I worked with the director, Damien Chazelle, and then the incredible choreographer. Her name is Mandy Moore, not the singer. It's a choreographer. And so I worked with them very closely. She wasn't actually there. These were reshoots. So oftentimes in films, they shoot something and then they don't maybe adore it or love it, and they need to add or make something better, and so then they call in different artists and do reshoots. So what I did was the reshoots.
Are you acting as well, or have you ever thought of acting, or is something you haven't?
So initially, like when I first moved to LA, yes, I went to a theater school, and so I was acting and doing theatrical work, Shakespeare, like the importance of being earnest. Like I loved all of that stuff, and I love the theater, and I love being on stage. And then eventually, being Canadian, I had to figure out a way, like, how am I going to stay in the US if I'm not American? And the most calls that I was getting for jobs was always like aerial, contortion, rhythmic gymnast, and I had to learn like the contortion, and I had to learn the aerial, and I had to learn the handstand. So I started training with like a circus group, and that was sort of my pathway. You know, I could have stayed and done like, tried to be like the actress, but I was a little bit older to start, you know, because like after the Olympics, I was 17 at the Olympics, and then it took me some time to figure out like what I wanted to do. I went to college for a little bit, and then I was like in college and learning about art, theater history. It was like Commedia dell'arte. It was like from Italy. And
yes. Commedia dell'arte. Actually,
yes.
you might be able to study over there in Italy, not just for your passion or
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was kind of when I was in a university class, and I started looking up in the newspaper, like where could I go study, you know, acting and theater, and it was either New York or LA, and New York was so expensive, and I was like, I would never be able to survive there. So, okay, let's go to the school, because they had two schools, one in New York and one in LA, and I auditioned, and then I got in, and then I had to work for like 6 months like crazy just to save money and be able to just go. And try to, you know, I did the program, I finished, but it was just very hard. The government makes it challenging when you're trying to be a student and live in the US. Like, you weren't allowed to work in the US if you're a student. You could only work on campus, but that, like, the
On
wage
campus
for
won't pay enough, right?
yeah,
Like,
that's the
I
thing.
mean,
The campus was paying like
like
$6.50 an hour, $6.50. I was
catch
like,
22. I mean,
yeah, what am I gonna? So
but and right now you're still able, anyways, to use all of your like your body and what you did before into
mhm,
this classes you're teaching.
yes,
Like
it it's
how
like
are they?
a passion of mine to see, like, I want people to feel like the openness and the playfulness, that like childlike freedom that you can have with your body, um, if you're willing, and to having like this sort of a little bit of an open mind where it's awkward and you're falling out of things and you're finding your balance. Like, I think there's such a beautiful kind of like poetry with our body. And for me, being able to like like, some days I don't feel flexible and it takes me a long time to warm up, but that's just the thing. Like, that's the process, that's the journey. And it reminds me a little bit of like life philosophy. Like, you know, are you going to take the path that's carved out and well paved, or are you going to like figure out your own path and get there, get to your own mecca, but it was your way, you know? And I feel like I've always done that in my life. And so for me, physically exploring movement and getting strong, it's like, it's not really about like having this like perfect body or looking a certain way. It's just really about like feeling healthy, feeling strong and flexible. Like, I really love that balance. And I think I started to learn about the strength portion when I started doing aerial acrobatics, because you're climbing and it's like
Yeah,
so hard in
I
the beginning.
I it, that's I tried. I just tried the try
Yeah.
being the tissues that like a colleague taught me. It was so hard. It seemed like for me all the strength is in your arms, has to be on your arms, and you have to really
Yes.
strengthen
Yes.
your
Your
arms.
chest, shoulders, and your fingers. The
It,
first time you climb that fabric, you're like, do I have arthritis? Like, what's going on?
yeah, I stopped. Like I did a few classes, and I like to go back with. But you're teaching more stretching, like what everyone
Yeah.
can do in your
Yes.
classes. You can check Emilie's Goldblum Instagram account. You have a website, and
Yes.
also when I see you and I saw your videos, you really um, there's a sense, and you gave a sense of calmness that you have, that probably you learned
Mhm.
from all of your work, the discipline. Like, you are calm,
Mhm.
like there's an aura around you. When I saw the video, that simple exercises, but that's important, being a
Yes.
teacher and really give
Yeah.
that feeling.
Yeah, I think I've heard that a few times before, and I take that as a huge compliment, because sometimes, you know, I don't, not in class, but sometimes if I'm teaching, like I was teaching in person in New York for this brand that I collaborate with, Bala, Bala, Bala Bangles, and they make the really cool weights. Everything is beautiful. I really love them. And so I was really nervous, and I remember telling the class, like, I'm used to just doing things on my camera and then putting it out there, and that was my main goal. And I think it started through during the pandemic. I was like, what can I contribute and give back, because for me, movement and flexibility has really sort of just changed my life. Like, I don't think I would have, I know I wouldn't have been able to stay in LA and do marry my two passions, like, yes, the acting and the movement. And I've really been so lucky to get into the niche of like being able to act whenever they need a dancer or an aerialist who can act and do the movement. And I get to be that person a lot of the time, not all the time, but so that's, I feel like so grateful for my body, for our bodies. Our bodies are amazing. And I wish, like, I want everybody to feel that and feel the love of like loving your own body and how it gives back to you. It's like this two-way thing. And so, yeah, stretching it for me, when I see it on other people, like it prolongs your health, your youth, because you're able to like squat down. You're able to like, you know, it's, things get harder as we get older because we get tighter. And so that's why I feel like it's even more important to do movements where, yes, it's like lifting and you're adding weight and making it a little bit challenging, but the main purpose is to sort of open everything up, the hips, the chest, the upper back, you know.
That's vero, è vero. And there's always some, I mean, for me, the little voice in my mind saying, you're getting older, you're getting older, you're getting older.
Don't even, I know.
Because you feel your body changing, but still, as you said, the stretching is a way of really keep going life, no matter at what age
Yes.
we are. And it's perfect because you can do it from anywhere because you're teaching online.
Yes, that's, and it's for free. Like I offer it for anybody and everybody. And that was my main thing. I was like, you know, a lot of these classes, like I'm not the only one that's doing this sort of version, like kind of ballet, gymnastics, movements that's like fitness. I know there's a million women out there doing it, but I just really wanted to be able to offer for as long as possible people these classes, just accessible as possible, and like anybody can do it, because it's just, you know, it feels sometimes like only for the very privileged that you can pay these $25 classes. That's a lot of money, you know. So I'm like, here.
And your kids and your husband Jeff, are they following you when you do this?
Yeah, well,
follow you in the classes.
They usually like, yeah, they usually kind of come in at the end, because I'll be like, okay, I'm doing this, please give me a moment to do this. And or I do it when they're at school, and that's why, like, for a few weeks now, because I've been with them and they haven't been in school, I haven't been able to put out any content. But I've been working on things, and now they just started school, so I was like, okay, I can do this.
Now you're more like free, more freedom for time for yourself.
Yeah.
Being a mom, managing 2 kids, plus teaching, family, I'm sure, and I don't have any kids, and that's why I'm thinking it seems a lot like to handle. Would you like to say something in Italian, Emily? Vuoi dire qualcosa in italiano?
Oh my God.
Come stai?
Sì. Come stai?
Sto bene, sto bene.
Sto bene. Tutto bene? Yes. So I know. Yes, I know sort of just little things as we go by. We have, like, you know, amazing people all around us, and they're so sweet, and they're always like saying hi and buongiorno and buonasera.
Sì.
But I did start my very first Italian class on Monday. So I was like going through the alphabet, and now when I'm going out and about, I'm like looking at the C, because it's like, you know, like if it's C, I, you say chi, but if it's like a CH, it's k, or CA, it's ka, you know, it wouldn't be cha, it would be ka. So it's those sort of things that I'm really...
CI, so CICE is always chiche, always soft. Yes. And CH is ki. It's hard, and it's confusing because in Spanish, CH is a ch, it's still soft. But in Italian, l'opposto is the opposite.
C. Yeah, and it's the same with the G. It's like a zh or a g. And so I'm looking, I've been noticing that I'm like, okay, that's a g and that's a zh. But yeah, it's so amazing.
That's why if you watch, like, just a recommendation, suggestion, watch a lot of Italian films, even with subtitles, Italian music, it'll help you a lot. But the fact you are living there, it'll help. Like at the beginning, you're a fish out of water. even from when I was here, like I wouldn't talk to anyone, all those American slangs. But if you do that, it's a habit, and your brain will memorize, and you'll start speaking.
Yes. And so you're now in Hollywood.
Right now I'm in Hollywood. I don't see the hills from here.
No, that's amazing.
Sono a Los Angeles. I'm in LA.
That's so cool. It's been hot, I heard.
It has been hot, and I was in Italy for 2 months. I came back last week.
My God.
Sì, perché sono italiana.
And where in Italy are you from?
Io sono di Piacenza. Piacenza, it's a city near Parma in the Emilia-Romagna region. If you ever want to visit it, the region is very beautiful. We have good food, buoni tortelli. I mean, every region has their specialties, of course. I'm unbiased, but buon. You know that we do this, right? You know what?
No.
You don't know. So when we like food, we do like it means that it's good.
Oh.
Like, not all the time, but without saying it's good, we just say, that's it. Just doing that, it means that you like it. Yeah, we have Italians use a lot of jazz. You'll find out being there, and you'll tell them.
Yes. No, but that makes sense. You know why? Because obviously you have the food in your mouth, and you don't want to be like, yeah, that's really good, and you've got all the food, so you go.
È vero. Esattamente. You know, like here, while you're eating, how's the food?
Yeah.
It's good. Like, they just pick up that moment when you cannot say maybe, no, I don't like it.
Yes. You have to be like, hold on. Okay. Now, yes, it's so true. I love that. I'm going to use that for sure.
Because in Italy, as you probably saw, the waiters don't come all the time asking you, is everything okay? Va tutto bene, va tutto. They do, ma una volta, no? Once.
Yes.
But I'd like to know more about your Italian experience, or maybe we can do another live, and you'll get into the culture even more.
Yes.
But I'm so amazed about your life, your journey. When I studied you, and I researching, and I didn't know many things. Some people said everyone knows about Emilie being a double for Rihanna, and I didn't know, so maybe not everyone knew.
Yeah, how could everybody know? It's not like
it's great because our jobs that not everyone can do, and no matter how your flexibility is, like those are opportunities that are like very blessing opportunities for to be in Hollywood with the competition, that con la competizione, no, di qua. Ma Emilie, if you want to say something, or again Italian, or anything you would like to share.
How do you say, would you say io amo Italy?
Sì, io amo l'Italia.
Io amo l'Italia.
Grazie, Emilie. Thank you for your time and being with me. Grazie mille.
Grazie mille to you. Thank you. Ciao.
Grazie. Ciao, Emilie. Ciao.
Ciao.
Sara Z, Emilie Goldblum. Ciao.